Eid Mubarak everyone, I'm Maha Salah from Middle East Monitor, and today I'll be making a special Eid recipe for you guys. I'm going to be making Ma'amoul Cheesecake. So this is a recipe that I created. It's just an homage to Ma'amoul and Eid, and secondly with we always have Ma'amoul, and with it being the summer and stuff, I wanted something a bit cooler and a bit more refreshing. So I'm going to show you guys this way, and I really hope you guys like it. First, I'm going to start with my base. My base is going to be some butter and some coarse semolina. And I'm going to toast my semolina, and it's just going to bring out the nutty flavor, and you're going to get that nice like toasted flavor that you would typically get in Ma'amoul. And I don't know about you guys, but I absolutely love Ma'amoul. I usually eat way too much Ma'amoul, and my favorite is pistachio. So I've made this one pistachio. Once this starts to slightly darken, that's when you're going to add your pistachios. You don't want to add your pistachios in too early because you don't want them to get roasted and have like a burnt flavor. Once you start to smell the butter and the semolina, you'll know that it's time to add your pistachios. Make sure that you keep stirring it because if you don't want to have one spot get too brown. Usually Ma'amoul is like a family affair. All the women get together and they sit for hours and make Ma'amoul, and it just makes it more enjoyable. You talk, you laugh, you bond. But with people being on lockdown, this is just, I guess, an easier way. You can still get the taste of Eid, but without having to do all of the work yourself. So this is starting to brown. I'm starting to see nice brown bits, so I'm going to add my pistachios in. I don't like my pistachios to be finely ground because I do want to have that bite, but if you prefer, you can grind it more. And then we'll start to add our water and sugar. It's basically having like a simple syrup or atar. So if you do have some atar on hand, you can add your atar instead. As you guys can see, it's become kind of mushy, almost like mashed potatoes, and it's ready. So just make sure you try it and adjust the sugar level. You don't want to make it too sweet because then there's still 2 more layers that will have sugar. So you want it to be just sweet enough. I've lined my cake tin with the removable bottom with some baking paper or parchment paper because we have our top layer, which will be natif. It's really sticky. This will just help it not stick to the side. So we're going to pour this into the bottom, and we want to make sure it's an even layer. So we're just going to press down. The thickness, again, is up to you. I like the bottom layer to be a bit on the thicker side. It just gives you more of the right ratio, the Ma'amoul ratio of like semolina to filling. But if you want it to be thinner, you can. If you want it to be thicker than what I'm going to do, you also can. I'm going to put this aside now to cool, and I'm going to make the cheesecake layer. Okay guys, so now we're going to start on our second layer, the cheesecake layer. I have some cream cheese that is room temperature. I have cold double cream. You want it to be cold and take it just right out of the fridge right before you use it. Otherwise it won't whip up properly. We have some icing sugar, some orange blossom water, and some mastic or Arabic gum that I've ground with some sugar. And the sugar helps it not kind of stick together. It makes sure that it turns into kind of granules. And I just put it in a small Ziploc, and I used a pestle and I just pounded it until I got it into like a nice powder. First I'm going to start with my cream cheese. If you don't have a stand mixer, you can use a hand mixer. You could use a whisk, but it's going to be quite a workout. Okay. So I'm just going to start with whisking this and make sure it gets nice and fluffy. And I'm gonna also add the mastic to it, just to help it get incorporated. And now I'm gonna add just a touch of orange blossom water, sugar to taste, I'm gonna put this on medium speed and start to add my cream in slowly. At this point, you would want to taste the sugar level and just make sure if you want to add a bit more sugar or not. You don't want to add the sugar towards the end because you don't want to over whip your filling. I'm going to add a bit more sugar. Even the amount of cream is somewhat up to taste because some people like to taste the cheese in their cheesecake, whereas others don't. So you can add a bit more cream if you don't want it to taste as cheesy, or leave out a little bit of cream if you want it to have that cheesy flavor. You want to stay right next to your mixer and keep watching it, because if you overmix it, it will split. So, as you can see, it's nice and stiff. I'm gonna spread this into a nice, even layer. I feel like one of the easiest ways to get a nice, even layer is put your spatula down and then turn your cake tin and then just smooth out the middle. We're now going to do our last and final layer, our natif layer. We're going to add our sugar and our water. And we're going to stir it just until the sugar has been dissolved. I'm just going to leave this to come to a boil, and we're going to want it to reduce quite a bit. And we're gonna test it. We're going to put it in some cold water. And once you've put a drop in cold water, it should kind of seize up almost like a candy. Once your atar or syrup starts to boil, we're gonna move on to our egg whites. We're gonna whisk our egg whites until they're nice and fluffy, almost like a meringue. Got my egg whites and a pinch of salt. As your atar is boiling, when you see these little droplets on the side, you want to make sure just to get a brush and brush them off. This will stop them hardening and crystallizing. So now it's been boiling for about 10 minutes, nice and thick. We're gonna add a bit of lemon, just to squeeze. Make sure you give it a little stir. And we're gonna test it in our little bowl of water. Just a bit into the bowl. And if you notice, it's come together nicely. And you can form it into a ball. So back to the eggs, they're nice and whisked. I'm gonna start this back up. Add a bit of vanilla. And we're going to slowly pour in, we just want it to be like a thin thread. We're gonna slowly pour in our syrup into our egg mixture. And this is going to cook the egg whites. And this is the point that you would also add your orange blossom water in. I'm gonna add about 4 tablespoons. And we're gonna put it on high and let this mix until the natif cools down. Once none of the steam is coming out anymore, that's how you know that your natif is at a good temperature for you to just take it out. I'm not gonna put it straight onto my cheesecake layer yet because it is still slightly warm. So I'm going to refrigerate both for about 2 hours, and then I can assemble and serve. Okay, so my cheesecake and my natif have been in the fridge. We're gonna spread our natif on top of the cheesecake layer. You want to be gentle when you spread this because it's sticky, and you don't want it to take off any of the cheese, or for it to get caught in the cheese. We're gonna do the same thing that we did before, which was turn, keep our hands still and turn, and that will help you get even edges. And then you can just even out the middle. Okay guys, so our Pistachio Ma'amoul Cheesecake is ready to be served. Look at those layers. You have the Ma'amoul Sneed or semolina base, you have the cheesecake, and then you have the natif topping and pistachios. Going to serve this so you guys can actually see the layers. Perfect. I hope you guys love this recipe as much as I do. And honestly, it's just the taste of Ma'amoul with a fraction of the work.